Alright, let's make a melody. I think I want to make something with a guitar, so I'm just gonna start playing around with notes and we'll see where it goes. I want to flip this. I want to do like a strum with this too, like a dun dun. Okay, now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go through and EQ some of these, or all of them, and put some effects on them, and try to make them sound a little bit easier to distinguish from one another, as well as, like I said, put effects like reverb and maybe some distortion or something like that. And I'll probably cut away from this because it will take a second. Okay, now I have everything EQ'd, and I've got some different effects on things. So on the muted guitar, I've got some Frank Pole Retro, which is adding some distortion. Probably an unnoticeable amount of noise, just a very tiny amount. A little bit of digital, like, I think it's like tape, or what's the word for it? I'm sure I'll think of the word for it, but it's like another effect. Same thing with the magnetic. And then space is like reverb, so just a little tiny bit of reverb. And then I've got it EQ'd, and I EQ'd everything so that they were kind of getting out of each other's way. So this one I noticed that the majority of the frequency was coming through in the middle. So I just barely boosted the middle. And then on the other two, I lowered the frequency in that range just a little bit. So you can see on the other two guitars, I'm lowering the frequency of that guitar, or that space, just a little bit. And then boosting it slightly in that first guitar. And then I'm doing the same thing for the other two instruments. So for this one, I've got a similar thing with retro going on, with a little bit of distortion, noise, and a little bit more reverb added on. And for this one, I noticed, I think it might have been both of these sections here, where it was kind of coming through, where the majority of the frequencies were coming through. Yeah, so a lot of the frequencies are coming through up top, and then I think I just wanted to boost this one, but I do Actually, notice something that I don't like the sound of. It's right here. It's harsh. Okay, so yeah, most of the frequencies are coming through up top, up here, and then I think I either noticed some of them are coming through or I just wanted to boost these. And so what I do on the other two instruments is I lower this frequency range right here just a little tiny bit. So if we look at this one, I lowered the frequency range over here just a little bit. And then I did the same thing on this one. I lowered this just a little bit. And then for the last guitar, on the last guitar, I don't have Frank Paul Retro. I just have regular reverb, fruity reverb, along with some more EQ. And for this one, I noticed... Oh yeah, okay, so for this one I noticed that most of the frequency range was coming in up top here, but I didn't want to boost it more because it's already kind of loud there. So I didn't really want to boost it, but I do, however, want to make some space for it. So in the other two instruments, I lowered that frequency range just a little bit. So you can see here, I lowered this range just a little bit. Let me add a little bit more. Lowered this just a little bit. And then same thing with this other guitar, I lowered this frequency range just a little bit. And altogether, it sounds like this. Okay, now what I'm going to do to further make it easier to distinguish the different types of guitars I'm using is I'm going to go through and randomize all the timings as well as the velocities. And that not only does what I just said, but it also makes it sound a bit more human, a little bit more realistic. So I'll start with the muted Strat. So I'm going to start... First thing I'm going to do is randomize the velocities. Now I'm going to kind of highlight some of them seemingly randomly. And then I'll move them back. Okay, now I'm going to do the same thing for the second guitar on these chords here. Oh, I forgot to pan these notes, some of these notes. I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to pan the lower downbeat notes. Then I'll do the same thing here. And for this one, I think I'm going to pan some more notes. Maybe these. Falling around, falling around. That was horrible. That's so bad. Falling around. Okay, now I'm going to make the bridge, and then I'll go through and arrange it. So for the bridge, I've got 2 bars of halftime, and the reason I use 2 bar as opposed to any of these others, well, the default is 1 bar. I don't like 1 bar all the time because it tends to sound pretty similar to what you started with, and sometimes I just want something that sounds a little bit more different, and 2 bar tends to do that most of the time. And then we've got some EQ, which takes off a little bit of the low end, and some redundant high end. We also have some limiter, which just makes sure everything is nice and loud. So that sounds really nice. Alright, so the bridge will be over here. This will be our intro. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So for the intro, so at the beginning, okay, and then anywhere you see PAT1 for pattern 1, that's probably where drums are going to go. And most of this will be duplicated over here, maybe another time as well, depending on how long the song ends up being. But if we look and see how long this will be, you can't see the timer. Well, you can probably see the timer, or we can see the timer at the end, but I can't see exactly how long it is right now, so because my recording thing is in the way. But let's listen to it.